Enter a Japanese store and you might see a sign like this, showing a huge array of payment options.
Cash, credit, or multi-currency card. There are so many ways to pay in Japan today, so how do you choose the right one for you and your wallet? Here's everything you need to know about spending your money in Japan, especially for shopping.
For sheer convenience, credit cards come out on top. These are accepted at most major cities and stores. Using a credit card also guarantees you greater protection in the event of a fraudulent transaction. Plus, you get to spread the cost of a purchase over a period of time. The biggest catch? They come with card fees that run at around 3% of the transaction on average. For bigger purchases, that can add up. To counter that, look for cards that are designed for overseas spending. These might offer extra points or rewards for expenditure overseas. Or a card that offers zero foreign exchange fees. Also, make sure that when you use a credit card, you opt to pay in the local currency, yen, not your home currency.
So in the case of Japan, that local currency is of course in yen. By doing this, you're using the rate that your card issuer is offering you for the foreign exchange, and that rate is typically quite a lot better than the rate you will pay if you're converting at the point of sale or the point of withdrawal into Singapore dollars. If you choose to withdraw in Singapore dollars, the exchange rate you'll be charged is chosen by either the ATM operator or by the local merchant, and that rate is typically a lot worse for you as a consumer than if you go with the rate from your credit card or from your home bank.
Multi-currency wallets are also becoming increasingly popular, especially among younger travelers. These allow you to convert and preload foreign currencies in a digital wallet. So you can lock in favorable exchange rates even months in advance of your trip. There is no additional fee for transactions. And because you preload your money into the e-wallet, it's easier to keep tabs on your holiday budget. The downsides? If you're someone who travels often or is a big spender, there's a $20,000 limit on the amount you can keep in the wallet at any point of time. It can also be harder to get support if you suspect that your card has been involved in a fraudulent transaction. And unlike credit cards, you earn no rewards on your spending.
The big difference between a multi-currency card and a credit card is that with a multi-currency card, you need to convert into the currency and hold it in that currency before you make a transaction. In contrast with a credit card, you only make that conversion into the foreign currency when you make the purchase. So if you think the rate is strong, you can convert at that point in time. The disadvantage with multi-currency cards is that because you're exchanging in advance, you may be losing out on interest that you could earn in your bank account.
Prepaid transport cards or IC cards are another convenient option in Japan, especially in places where international cards are not accepted. These top-up cards were initially used for public transport, but can now be used to pay for various services, including food and shopping. But there is a $130 limit on how much can be stored at any point. You can purchase a tourist card at select venues. Just remember to get your 500 yen deposit back before you leave Japan.
Here's what I did. I linked a Japanese transit card to my smartwatch, and this was all I used my entire trip.
But you shouldn't rely on that entirely. Unlike many places where you can get by without a wallet, cash is still preferred for some day-to-day purchases in Japan, especially in smaller stores and areas outside major city centers. Last year, more than 60% of transactions were still made in cash. So make sure you have at least some of your holiday budget in cash form. Try to ensure you have enough for your trip to reduce having to use ATMs, where you could face fees not just from your credit card company, but from the ATM operator as well. Ultimately, the type of card you decide to use depends on where you're spending and what you're spending on. Just make sure you always have more than one option on you.
So in the larger cities or the more popular tourist spots, you can typically use a digital form of payment. If you're into the countryside or more off the beaten track, then you should probably have some cash with you in case you can't use your card. What you're spending on also matters. So in more local, smaller purchase type transactions, such as in markets or food stalls, you may need to use cash. Whereas in the mainstream department stores, shopping areas and tourist spots, you can typically use digital options. What we would advise more generally in terms of cards is always have more than one digital card that you've got access to in case you need to block or stop using your primary card. And in addition to that, always take a physical card with you as well, because you never know when your phone may not be available.
Once you've got the payments rolling, it's time to go shopping. Just make sure to take your passport with you to claim up to 10% consumption tax refunds at shopping counters with this sign.
When I go to Japan, what I really like is to shop for Japanese cosmetics and skincare and snacks you can only find in Japan. But don't forget to make sure that your purchases are eligible for a tax refund.